Hello and welcome to another video of the Happily Knitted podcast. This is not going to be a regular podcast episode. Instead, I want to take you along my process of making the Traveler by Andrea Mowry. And this video is going to show you my process from the beginning to the end, and it doesn't have a lot of knitting in it because the most interesting part about this is that I am going to dye the fiber myself, and I'm also going to spin the fiber myself. So I'm making the yarn first and then I'm going to knit the Traveler, and I'm very excited about this. And if you're interested, then follow along. First off, we are going to watch me dye the fiber, and yeah, let's see how that goes. Alrighty, let's start dyeing. So this is the lasagna technique that I saw someone else do, which is Rebecca from Chemnitz. If you're really interested in dyeing, you should definitely check out if you haven't heard of her. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm layering. So I'm layering dye and then fiber and then more dye and more fiber and so on. And hoping to get a gradient, which, spoiler alert, didn't happen. But still there are some interesting colors. So I'm starting first with the layer of greens and blues. And then I'm going to keep going with different colors in every layer in the hopes of creating this gradient I told you about. So here I'm just adding some dry dye powder onto my fiber and squishing everything down, adding some water, and try to move the dye around. If you do some dyeing with dry powder, then you should definitely wear some kind of mask to make sure that you don't breathe in all those tiny little powders. Now I'm adding some more powder. This time it's mostly blues. And then I will add some more water and squish down the fiber so that some of the dye moves up and some of the dye moves down. When the final layer is here, which is this one, I'm adding some heat and let this all sit for quite a long time and then wash out all the dye that is still left in the fiber. And I'll show you the final results in the next video. But first, let's have a look at the other fiber I dyed, which I'll just give you a tiny little bit of a view of that, which is this one. So here you can see these are the same colors I used in the other one, but I'm using a different technique. Nachdem jetzt meine Okay, let's get ready for the second step. So what I need to do now after dyeing the yarn, which I hope you have seen in the previous part of the video, I need to do some prep for the fiber before I can start spinning. And that's mainly because, or firstly, of course, I always like to prep it and divide the different braids into smaller parts so it's easier to manage. And then I also have a little problem. So what you've seen is how I made this braid, and hang on. And this one, but what you haven't seen is that I still had some fiber left and that this is not going to be enough for a sweater. And that I also dyed this one with the leftover dyes that I still had. And now I want to find a way to incorporate this one, which is very, very different, obviously, to the other two, how I can incorporate them together in one project. So as you know, the plan is to make the Traveler crew neck, I think. And I'm definitely not going to have enough yarn, just these two braids. So I will have to add this one. And since my plan is to make a 2-ply, I thought it would be best to find a way to put this fiber together with one or two or both of these braids, so that this color isn't just in one ply and then there's going to be a high contrast and barber pulling, but instead that it is just a little colorful accent. So my plan is to use my blending board in some way or other to add this one to parts of these braids in order to just end up with a more even spread out fiber and yarn in the end. So I don't mind if this is going to be very colorful. I don't mind if there end up big contrast, that's fine as well. Basically, I don't want to plan too much. Right now my idea is to take this one and use parts of both of these, blend them together a little bit on my blending board, and then make kind of like not Rolex, but make a batch out of it, and then maybe even turn it into some sort of roving. I don't know, I've never done that before, but I've seen videos of people doing it. So if you're interested in watching me play with these fibers without any knowledge of what I'm actually doing, then you can just watch me now. So see you in a moment. Here I'm starting to split the fibers, and I'm doing this vertically, and trying to make some smaller pieces here. And next, I'm trying to split the lighter colors into, or blend them in with the other fiber in hopes that they won't be as prominent in the final yarn. And so now you can watch me try in various different ways to blend them and not really succeeding a lot of times. So in the beginning, I really didn't want to make Rolex, which is what I ended up doing anyway. But here are some different ways I'm trying to do this. And yeah, so just observe if you're interested. Now I am attempting to split all of my fibers in two so I can create a 2-ply yarn at the end, and trying to make sure that I have the same amount of the darker colors and the lighter colors in each half, and making them into like these smaller balls and Rolex in order to have an equal amount for each single. So these are the halves. This is the lighter colors and the blended ones, and that's the darker ones. And this is the second half. And yeah, so I'm almost ready to start spinning now. Hallo zusammen. Hey guys, it's been a couple of days or weeks actually, and I finished my first bobbin. Sorry, I was missing the word. I finished my first bobbin. This is what it looks like. And I think it turns out really nicely. Since you can only see the outside, I took some pictures in between spinning, and I will put them right here so you can see them, and then I'll tell you what the plan is going forward. So I was actually really surprised that half of my fiber fit on one bobbin, but then again the e-spinner bobbins are really big. But this has me worried a little that I'm not going to have enough yarn, but I'll just keep going and hope for the best, and if I end up not having enough, then I'll just make a very cropped traveler, and yeah, I will figure it out in some way, or I don't know yet, I don't have a plan, I'm just gonna keep going. And yeah, so you may have noticed in the last part of the video that I was getting a little frustrated combining the different colorways that I made, but it ended up being okay. So it's not really what I had in mind before, but it's okay. I think it will be interesting, and the traveler pattern is very forgiving, I think. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it, and it's just going to be a little bit different than what I first imagined, which is fine, and actually something that usually happens all the time. So yeah, I've given up on really planning what the yarn is going to look like. I'm just going to let it happen and see what it wants to be. And I'm going to take you along a little bit more in the spinning process for the second bobbin. And yeah, but before I can start spinning, so this is all the fiber that I've left, so that's the other half. And as you can see, there are very different preps in here, and you already know that because you've watched me put them together. And before I start spinning, I want to put them more in little portions, I guess, in little clouds maybe, because I was getting a little frustrated spinning when, well, that's exaggerated, but it was getting a little long when I worked on these like really big kind of, I don't know if you can even call them Rolex anymore. And I want to have more smaller portions that so that I can go one of these, then one of this, one of this, and one of this, and so on. And I think it will look more interesting if I make smaller portions, so that it's a little bit more varied. And then when I apply the yarn together, I am just gonna hope for the best and that it turns out a lovely yarn that I can use for my traveler project. So if that sounds interesting, keep watching, because now I'm going to take you along, prepping the fiber a little bit more, and then I will show you some spinning. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. Now I am dividing the bigger parts into smaller pieces, which is something I did with the first single as well, in order to make an easier time of spinning, and also so that the lighter and darker colors are in the same length or close to the same length. So let's start spinning here a little bit. So I'm just getting started setting everything up, and I always have these little tiny baskets to decide which fibers I'm going to use next, so that I don't have to think about it while spinning. So I have sections of planning and then sections of spinning. And yeah, so I'm planning on doing it, doing one darker color, then a lighter color, and a darker color, and a lighter color, and so on. So let's start spinning. So here you can see how my bobbin is spinning slowly. And I'll get back to you when there is more to see. I just finished spinning my singles. That's what they look like. And I'm so excited about this, and also a little nervous. I can tell, or I think that this one might have a little bit more yardage than this one, but I could be wrong. Sometimes it's just the way it's round around the bobbin. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like before I start plying them together. And normally I would wait and let them sit for a few days, but I'm just so excited and nervous about this that I just have to do it right now. So I think what I'm going to do is something different than usual. Normally I will ply them together and fill a whole bobbin, and then I end up with all these huge skeins of yarn. And I think this time that's not what I want to do. I'm going to try and keep them a little bit smaller and only fill half of the bobbin. But yeah, so let's do that right now, and let's see how the yarn turns out. Plying is always a really interesting part for me to see, because that is where you get to see how the yarn is going to look like in the end, how everything is combining, how the colors get together with the singles. And yeah, I find it very interesting. Now I'm washing the finished yarn in order for it to relax a little bit. As you can see, there's a lot of twist in here, which is going to go away by washing it and having it sit in lukewarm water. When you do two ply, sometimes what happens is that you have some leftover on one bobbin, which is the case here, and I still have a lot on one of the bobbins. So what I'm doing now is putting the leftover into a cake and then start twisting it with itself, so plying it with itself, one time from the inside, one from the outside. And so I'll end up with a tiny little bit of yarn that looks a little different, but is still using up all of the fiber. Whoa, I'm finished! So, these are all my skeins of the hand spun. I finally finished them. This is what they look like, and they fluffed up amazingly while washing. So they really bloomed a lot, which is, or I thought was going to be a problem, but turns out it's not really. I have about 1,100 meters. That should be enough to make the traveler. So yay, that's great. And I already made a little swatch. Because I had this little skein left. That was just the ends that I showed you before in the video. And so I used that to make a swatch, and this is what it looks like. And I'm meeting gauge exactly. So after blocking, it's exactly the gauge it should be, which is great. I thought I was going to have to go up a needle size because the yarn is a lot thicker and then figure out what size to make, but I don't think I do. This is kind of perfect, and I really like the fabric. It's not as dense as I thought it would be. And yeah, can't wait to cast on. I'm going to make the size 2, I think. This is the closest to the measurement with positive ease. And then I am expecting it to be a little bit bigger than size 2. A tiny little bit, but not really that much. Because I didn't really block this aggressively, I just laid it down flat, and then it had the perfect gauge, so I can get a little bit extra width and length if I really want to. It's very elastic. By blocking it a bit more aggressively if I need to. So yeah, let's get ready to cast this baby on. So here is a tiny little view of me knitting, which I don't show a lot of, but I mean, you all know what knitting looks like. So that's just me sitting on my balcony. This was back in October, so yeah, it's been a long time coming. Today I wanted to give you a little update. My today, not yours, you see this in one video, but now it's the middle of November already, and I've been working on this project for quite some time, and started knitting, as you saw in the video before, and I am currently working on the front. So I already did the part where you knit in the round. This is looks very big, but I think it's fine. Yeah, I really like how it turns out, and it's going to grow a little bit. I'm going to block it in a way that's going to make it longer, but I'm still going to end up with a cropped sweater. I already know it. It's fine. I dealt with it. It's just the amount of yarn that I have, because I just figured I have 5 skeins. One was a little bit bigger, that's the one I started with, and that I would knit until the first skein ran out for the bottom part of the body, and then separate front and back, so that I have one skein for the front, one for the back, and one for each sleeve. And I think that's going to be fine and working out fine. I might have some leftover yarn, but I'd rather have some leftover than end up losing yarn chicken. And yeah, so I really love the way the fabric looks. I think the colors play well together. There is a lot going on, but I think it's okay. I like it when it's not boring, so it looks hand spun, and you can see that it is definitely hand spun, and there are some uneven spots, but it's not causing any issues. So yeah, I'm just going to keep knitting, and then I'll see you soon with another update. Hey guys, I just wanted to quickly check in with you for a moment. So today is November the 25th, and I finished the first sleeve of my traveler, and I'm really happy with everything. So how the colors played out and everything. So I just thought I would show you wearing the sweater. So I did the decreases a little bit fast, which makes it look a little bit funky, but I'm sure that with blocking everything is going to even out a little bit, and I am feeling a little bit too lazy to go back and start all over again. One worry I do have is that the sleeves are too long, because this is unblocked, and this pattern, this structure is going to grow, I'm sure. And it's already the length that I want it to be. So I just completely followed the pattern. But yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe I have short arms, but I don't think so. But it looks a little funky here. But I think that will block out a little bit. And yeah, I would show you the fit of the body, but it just looks ridiculous with my baby belly. So I'm not going to do that. Because this is, yeah, that's the length, the cropped version, it just doesn't work. So yeah. So what's left to do is only one sleeve and picking up the neckline, and then I'll be finished. So I don't know if I will finish before the baby gets here, because I'm due in 5 days. But you never know. It's my first, so the little one might take a little bit longer, and then I'll have time to finish it. If that is the case, then I will try to finish this video so I can upload it. And if it's not, then maybe you're seeing this in the beginning of 2025 and wondering why I'm talking about November, but yeah. So what's left to do, as I said, is the second sleeve and the neckline, and then I'll be finished. So yeah, for now I'm really happy with this first time hand spun sweater. Okay, so this is the last part of this video, because my traveler is finished and washed and blocked, and for some reason I forgot to weave in one end, but everything else is done already. And I am so happy with the way it turned out. There are a couple of things that I would be doing differently if I made this again. But all in all, I think it fits really well. And yeah, let's talk about it. So I really like the way the neck band is sitting. I'm thinking about adding an elastic in here so that it doesn't grow a little bit more, because I think that would look better if it's going in a little bit more. And as I predicted, the sleeves are a little bit long. So I can pull them up over my fingers. But I'm going to leave it like that because I actually really like it and love doing this and pulling the sleeves up when it's really cold, and this sweater is very warm. So because it's 100% merino and hand spun, I think it's just very, very warm. So that fits with the long sleeves. And my worry about the shape of the sleeve, I hope you can see, is still a little bit there. So this is very dropped and very oversized. I think I could have gone down a size even. So I made size 2. Maybe I could have done size 1 instead. And it actually is very long. I'm not going to show you because it just ends at an odd point with my pregnancy belly. But if you want to see it worn sometime again, you just have to show up in a future podcast episode to see that. And yeah, so all in all, it is oversized still. But I pulled it down when blocking to make it longer. But I didn't lose as much width as I thought I would. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say about this. So I'm very, very happy about how this turned out. This was my first sweater spin. So yeah, everything went really well for that, I think. And I really enjoyed making this video, but I also realized that it is a lot of work. So I'm not sure if I'm ever going to do something like that again. With one exception, with one exception, which is the shifty that I already started making videos of. So that's going to be a project video for that too, but I don't know if I'm going to keep this up. But if you think it's really interesting, just let me know in the comments, and then I can think about maybe doing it again. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this little follow along with me, or long follow along with me, and that you learned something or felt inspired to make your own traveler. I really enjoyed the pattern, and I really enjoyed the whole process of dyeing and spinning the fiber first. And yes, if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you want to see more future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Okay, I hope you have a good time and you're safe and everything is great for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!